If your child is constipated and you were wondering which of the foods you offer and give them causes their constipation and what foods you might try to get them some relief, I'm Dr. Nkiruka. I'm a pediatrician, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about 10 foods that commonly causes constipation in babies and kids, but also 10 foods you can actually mix with them on alternatives that can help relieve their constipation. In a previous video, I talked about common things that causes constipation in babies, in kids, and common natural ways and medication options you might try for them. But in this video, we're going to be focusing only on foods. One of the number one foods is whole milk, and this is usually common during the transitional phase when babies are moving from breast or formula to whole milk. Dairy products as a whole can cause and worsen constipation. Whole milk may contain complex proteins that can harden poop. On the other hand, milk is also a filling food, which means if your child or baby is drinking a whole lot of milk, it makes them feel excessively full, and they may not necessarily be able to have space to tolerate the other foods, making them actually get more constipated because they have no space or are less likely to take other vegetables and foods. They may actually make their poop softer. Next is white rice. White rice goes through a whole refining process that strips away a lot of important nutrients, especially fiber. And foods that are low in fiber, like white rice, are less likely to help with constipation and can actually worsen it if eaten a lot. You can still serve your baby or your child white rice, but make sure you're mixing with the veggies, which I'm going to talk about later. Or better yet, you can stick with brown rice or whole grain rice if you're noticing your child is getting more constipated. Raw bananas are another one. They are sweet and they are great as first food when you introduce them to babies. But they're actually one of the foods we also recommend when a child has diarrhea because they tend to harden poop. So if a child is eating a lot of raw bananas, it may make them more constipated. Steamed carrots can solidify poop and make it more difficult for babies and kids to pass. Steamed apples and applesauce. So this can cause different effects in different children. For some babies and children, it may actually cause diarrhea, and for some others, it may worsen constipation. It contains a modified pectin, which for some babies actually makes them go more. But if you notice your child likes applesauce and eats a lot of it, it may also be one of the reasons why they're getting more constipated. Another surprising one is cheese. Like most dairy foods, cheese is low in fiber and does not contribute to bowel movements. So that means if a child is eating a lot of cheese, they are less likely to eat other foods that may help combine to make them have a good bowel movement and decrease constipation. The other reason is common foods that are combined with cheese to offer to kids, like crackers, bread, and milk, all tend to be constipation-causing foods and tend to worsen it when kids eat a lot of cheese. White bread or white bread toast, like the rest of the broad diet foods, lacks enough fiber to pull fluids and keep things moving in the intestine, so they tend to cause constipation. Irish potatoes contain low fiber, but also contains higher fat, which are less likely to be easily digested and make things slower in the intestine. They also have a high salt content, which makes it more likely to pull fluids from the stool and makes the stool much harder to pass and drier as they go down. Finally, in the list of surprising foods that may cause or worsen constipation in babies and kids, it's yogurt. It is a dairy. It actually has good bacteria. They may actually help digestion and keep things moving, but in some babies, it can actually worsen constipation. So a good idea would be to mix with fruits to help get that soluble fiber effect and help things moving in the intestine and reduce the possibility of causing constipation. Now for 10 foods that can help relieve your child's constipation: beans. Beans is a great legume option. It contains both soluble and insoluble fiber and generally makes digestion better and easier to pass for kids. The next is oatmeal. Oatmeal is a great first food for babies and actually a great food option with different alternatives for kids. It contains both soluble and insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber in foods as they're being digested absorbs water and forms a gel, while the insoluble portion of it forms a bulking agent. And this combination makes it so much easier for the poop to be softer and transitions easier down the intestine. High fiber veggies such as green peas and broccoli are great options to mix with your rice, like I talked about before. Sweet potatoes is a great side dish when your baby is constipated. It's actually better and preferred as compared to Irish potatoes. It contains high fiber and is also a plus because it's sweet. So if you have a baby who you're trying to offer first food, you can easily mash it or blend it and mix it with rice or other veggies to help them go. Whole grain bread still has its high fiber intact and has not undergone the whole process that white bread has. So if your child is constipated or trying to reduce constipation risk in your baby, it's best to choose whole grain or multigrain bread to offer to them. Apricots in raw or juice form are great for constipation in babies. Berries can also be offered in raw form, in juice form, or mixed with yogurt to help increase the chances of a child having a bowel movement. A group of fruits called the pea fruits are one we always highly recommend to offer to babies who are constipated. And these fruits are pears, plums, prunes, and peaches. They are very high in sorbitol. Sorbitol is essentially a sugar which is not easily digested in the intestine. So what it does, it pulls a lot of fluids into the intestine and makes the poop actually softer and easier to pass. Prunes, we commonly call the natural laxative. It contains high fiber and also multivitamins that eases bowel movement. The problem is prune doesn't taste as nice and as good. So we usually recommend if you want to make a prune juice, you can mix it with apple juice. And when offering these pea juices that you make at home or store-bought to babies and kids, you can start from as small as half an ounce 1 to 2 times a day, and you can build it up to 4 ounces. Just always make sure you're checking with your regular pediatrician to make sure it's okay for your child to continue. And this commonly causes babies to have easy bowel movement and reduce constipation. And the last two helpful fruits are mango and kiwi. Kiwi has high fiber. Mango, on the other hand, also tastes great, so kids easily tolerate them. You can cut them in smaller pieces, or you can actually offer them as juices you make at home for them to tolerate it. Offering all these foods to help your child with constipation can be a little tricky, especially if your child is a picky eater or does not eat as much, but you can make them as smoothies, make it as popsicles, make it as purees, make your own baby food at home, and just blend them generally into the foods. I hope this list has been helpful. Let me know in the comments if your child is struggling with constipation, which foods have been worsening or helping their constipation, or maybe the foods along this whole list that I didn't name that actually helps your child with constipation. And I will see you in the next video.